Question 17 is a question that we went through during the intensive also. And it's a classic example of a question where your number of units doesn't need to be a whole number. Okay. You could make it a whole number, but it doesn't need to be. It's a lot easier if you process the question unitary method without letting it be a whole number. Okay. So what do we know? We can recognize that there is clearly a remainder concept here because spend 3/4 of the remaining money. But there is also a comparison concept here because they tell you that the dress is 3 times of the blouse. That means my dress will be 3 units when my blouse is 1 unit. Right? So the question tells you that she spent 1/6 of her money on a dress and 2 blouses, meaning this is 3 units. This is 2 units. Okay? So we are going to go ahead because we know there is a remainder concept. Remainder concept, you draw your remainder model. So I know that at first, I need to cut my model into 6 parts. And each part here is a dress and 2 blouses. So I need to further cut this into a dress and 2 blouses. A dress is 3 units. So 2 blouses is 1 unit each. So this is 1 dress plus 2 blouses. Right? Which is the equivalent of 5 units. Agree? So this was what was spent. And then now she spent what fraction of Mrs. Wu's money was spent on each blouse? So we answer part A of the question first. If this is 5 units, that means everything here is also 5 units. So how many units is your blouse? Your blouse is 1 unit. What's the total amount of money? If you look at the model, you should know that the total amount of money is 30 units. So blouse over total. Blouse is 1 unit. Total is 5 unit times 6, which will give you 1 out of 30. So at the very least, you should get part A correct. Quite straightforward. Now, the next part of the question tells you that Mrs. Wu spent 3/4 of her remaining money, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated. I'm going to continue drawing the model from here. It's a remainder concept, right? So you draw your remainder drop-down model here, right? It is 3/4 of the remainder. So you split your remainder into 3 quarters into quarters. Right? This is your remainder, and they tell you that 3/4 of your remainder is spent on your watch. This is where your working gets in the way. Wonders of technology. You wish you could do that. Now, this is your watch. And there's a problem here. 25 is not a nice number to make. Right? On top, we have 25 units. Below, we have 4. You can find the common multiple, which is 100 units. I don't think that is easier. I will not do it that way. I will just take the 25 units that I have over here. I understand from the model on top that this is 25 units, right? And therefore, your watch is 3/4 of 25 units, which is equal to 3 out of 4 times 25U. It's a calculator question. No reason why you cannot just go and multiply it. You should know that off in this case means times. So your watch is 18.75 units. Right? And we already found out in part A that your dress is the equivalent of 3 units. Why do I not want to change it to 100 units? Because if I change it to 100 units, then my dress becomes very complicated also, because I need to go and change my dress too. So now it is straightforward because my dress is 3 units. So I just find the number of units represented by the watch. By calculation, you get 18.75 units. So your watch is 18.75 units, your dress is 3 units, and therefore your difference is 18.75 units minus 3 units to give you 15.75 units. And what represents the 15.75 units? It is $220.50 more. And so your difference of 15.75 U is equal to $220.50. And from here, you can go ahead and find what is 1 unit. Okay, the fact that it's a decimal unit does not matter when it's a paper 2 question because it's called press calculator only. All right. So you will find that this will give you 14. And they ask you what is the total amount of money she had at first. We know that total at first she had 30 units. That is already found in part A. So 14 times 30 to give me $420. The question, if you ask me, is easier to process if you just go and find your watch in terms of a decimal unit by taking 3/4 multiplied by the 25 units that you know is a remainder. Okay, it is not wrong to go and make a common multiple, but if you want to make a common multiple, your common multiple will be 100 units. Your watch will be 75 units. Then you must know that your dress will become, the 3 unit will need to multiply by 4. So it will become 12 units. So if we do it the other way, 75 units minus 12 units, you'll get 63 units. 220.5 divided by 63, you will get 3.5. Your number of units now is no longer, because you have to multiply by 4 to the top part. Your 30 units times 4 will become 120 units. So you will take 3.5 times 120 to give you back 420. So some of you may have done it that way. You will realize you get back the same answer regardless. All right, if you really find it easier to just make the same denominator, or in this case, the same number of units by finding the common multiple, you can do that. I think that it gives you a very big number, and I didn't want to work with that, but it is possible. Okay. Any questions so far for paper 2? I thought the paper 2 is quite a reasonable paper. Maybe question 16 a little bit more complicated, but other than that, I think the rest of the questions are fine.